welcome. You're watching Times Now I'm Padmaja Joshi. The debate around the farm laws is extremely confusing for many at this point because there are three different laws that have been passed. There are many objections that the farmers have, and every time the discussion starts about one issue, it suddenly goes on to the other. So to keep it simple, let me try and in the simplest way possible, after speaking to a cross-section of farmers, activists, economists who work with farmers, try and tell you what these farm laws say, what the farmers' objections are, and what are the proposals now that the government has made in order to address those objections. Then you can dispassionately examine whether the concerns have been addressed or not. The first fear that the farmers have is that MSP will now be abolished. The Prime Minister has said repeatedly this is not going to happen. However, before we get into that, let me make a quick detour to tell you what is MSP. MSP, or minimum support price, to put it very simply, is the base price which the government says a farmer must get. So 23 crops for which the centre decides the minimum support price is the minimum value that the farmer is guaranteed for his or her crop. So after the farm bills, what has changed? Basically, now the farmer has the option to either sell in the APMCs where they are already selling their produce, or they can sell it to private players in the open market. Farmers get back to that by saying, when I sell to the government, there is a trust factor. I know that I am going to get the MSP. When I'm out in the open market, what is the protection that I get? Maybe the buyer is not going to give me the MSP at all. Maybe he will give me a fraction of what I actually deserve. And this will spell the end of the MSP system. The government's proposal to counter this is we will give in writing that MSP will stay. Now you will ask, give in writing where and how? And who will enforce it? Why can't the government simply put in writing that if anyone dares to buy anything under MSP or below the minimum support price, he will face a penalty and might even go to jail? Why can't that be written in the law? Now there are two things here. First, that a penalty for buying below MSP never existed in the law. All of these years, it has never been written into the law, and it has not been written into the law for a reason. The reason why you cannot specify the MSP in the law is because it's an administrative exercise. Like I told you earlier, the MSP for 23 crops is decided by the centre every year. It changes every year. So you cannot write something in the law when it is supposed to change every year. Now the other issue is that if the government decides the prices in the private market, the private sector simply won't come there. Let me give you an example. In the private sector, prices are market driven. The demand goes up, prices go up. The demand goes down, the prices go down. So if the government today says in the private sector, the market, the demand will not decide the price, but I will decide the price. And the private sector, if they give less money than what I have decided, I'm going to jail you, the private sector will simply say, all right, thanks. We do not want to buy anything at all. So is that to say that there is no other option for the farmer but to bow before the corporate and sell his food grains to him at whatever price this bully corporate decides? Absolutely not. Which is where your MSP comes in. You have the APMC, which is the existing Sarkari Mandi, and the free market, which let's call it the private market. If in the private market, this corporate tells me, the government is giving you 500 rupees minimum support price, I will give you 550. The farmer can then say, all right, in the market, I'm getting 500, in the APMC, here I'm getting 550. Only if the farmer wants, he can then go into the free market and sell it to a private company. That choice of availing of the MSP or going for the free market price is entirely left up to the farmer. Now here is where I come to the second issue. On the face of it, it seems like there is a choice for the farmer. Either you sell in the Sarkari Mandi or the APMC, or you go out into the free market. The argument then made is, on the face of it, this seems very convenient, but the way in which these new farm laws have been brought in, over time, APMCs will become redundant. Now let me tell you the logic behind this argument being made. The logic is that the APMCs levy a mandi tax. whereas no such tax was envisaged in the free market in the laws that exist right now. So, if I am a trader and I have to go to a place where I have to pay, say, an 8.5% mandi tax, which is what exists in Punjab right now, it varies state to state, this mandi tax. Suppose I'm a trader in Punjab, I go to the APMC, there I have to pay 8.5% tax. I go in the open market, I have to pay no tax. Naturally, I will find this more beneficial, the open market, and I will keep going to the open market. Hence, over time, the APMCs will wither away, they will shrivel away and become completely redundant. That's the logic being given by the striking farmers. Now, what has the government said? The government says we will put equal tax, whether it's an APMC, whether it's a open mandi. 8.5% is the mandi tax for APMC in Punjab. Same tax will be put in the open mandi, which means that they will be at par. Then, all things being the same, then the farmer can say, all right, the mandi tax I have to pay is the same in both markets. Let me see which one gives me a better price. I will go to that market. Now, the third issue is that of dispute resolution. In the existing farm laws, the ones that were brought about by the government, they said that if you have a problem, you can go to the court of the SDM or the subdivisional magistrate. The logic for that being given was that it's close, so you do not have to travel long distances. This can be an immediate and an easier, a more convenient dispute resolution mechanism for the farmer. Farmers weren't happy. They said we should get the full gamut, all the legal options that we want to exercise. We should be allowed to exercise. So the government's now compromise formula is, all right, if you're not satisfied with the SDM, you can go to the district court as well. The fourth issue was, who is a trader? Who gets to buy from the farmer? Right now in the APMCs, only the registered traders can come and buy from the farmer. In the new farm laws, the government said, let us make the number of traders more. Let there be more buyers for the farmer's produce. So anyone who has a PAN card number can come and buy from the farmer in the open market. The objection raised to that was that how do we know the reliability of these people? They just come here with a PAN card and who's to follow up? What if they do not make the payments? So for that, the government has said, just like the traders are registered in the APMCs, we are willing to put in a mechanism in an amendment where the state governments will be registering the traders in the open market as well. The fifth concern, and this is perhaps the biggest one, is about contract farming, because a lot of farmers who are protesting right now say that in corporate farming, a poor farmer and this rich corporate are going to sign a contract. If something goes wrong and the farmer cannot fulfill his obligations, his land is then going to be grabbed by the corporate. Now, here's the thing. First of all, the new farm law says very specifically that land-related provisions cannot be written into the contract that is signed between a private company and the farmer. What does this mean? It basically means that no one can write in the contract that tomorrow if you fail to deliver, if you the farmer fail to deliver on ABC, I, the corporate, am going to take away your land as collateral. That cannot happen. It is written in the law that this cannot be put in the contract anywhere. Additionally, there is actually a clause which gives great protection to the farmer. If this company with whom I have signed a contract does not give me my dues, for example, if they owe me 1 rupee and they do not give me my dues, they are going to be fined 150 times, which means that this X company owes me 1 rupee and they do not pay me, they will be fined 150 rupees. That is to ensure that the farmer gets what he should once he has sold his crop in that contract to the company. Further, if the farmer is unhappy with the contract he has signed, he can exit it at any given point of time without any penalty being imposed. For example, if I have signed a contract with company X that I am going to be supplying you with rice for N number of years, and after 1 year, I change my mind. I find it's not profitable enough. After 1 year, I can exit it. Even though my contract says that I will supply it to you for 5 years, after 1 year, I can exit this contract and nobody can fine me. That corporate cannot go against me and say that this is a breach of contract. Now, this is as far as the existing laws say. To make this even more waterproof and to ensure that the farmer's land is completely kept safe, the government says we can even insert a clause that says that if a company builds infrastructure on the farmer's land, neither can they take a loan against that infrastructure, nor can they mortgage it. So this so far is what the major sticking points are. The government says that there is a lot of misinformation which is being spread. MSP is going to be given in written. The government is willing to give in writing that MSP is not going to go. APMCs are not going to become redundant. And when it comes to contract farming, if anything, the laws right now are tilted in favor of the farmers. There is only a dialogue and a conversation that can help in making any progress to break the deadlock. These are the facts. Now you best can yourself decide whether the concerns are addressed or not. Thanks very much for having watched Times Now. If you like this video, don't forget to share it with your friends. Also, like it on YouTube and Facebook. Thanks for watching.